The Vatican is famous for being the smallest country in the world. With an area of just 0.49 kilometers, it is also made famous by the fact that it has no airport. In fact, the closest airport to the Vatican, Rome Fiumicino International, is 32 times bigger than the Vatican itself. So, with the increase in papal travel over the last few decades, how does the Vatican's most famous resident visit his subjects across the world? Without any sort of airport or air transport of its own, airlines are often chartered in to conduct papal air duties on behalf of the Vatican. To set it apart from regular air traffic and highlight the significance of the flight's passenger, the papal aircraft carries the call sign Shepherd 1 when conducting official Vatican business. Traditionally, these flights are conducted by the Italian flag carrier, what is now ITA Airways, but was historically Alitalia for the majority of the Pope's overseas visits. This isn't always the case, though. For example, during Pope Francis' visit to New York in 2015, an American Airlines Boeing 777-200ER was chartered to fly the Pope from Rome. Interestingly enough, though, this flight did not carry the Shepherd 1 call sign because on this trip, the Pope was invited to the U.S. Conference of Bishops rather than conducting an official Vatican-organized state visit. The aircraft the Pope will use is usually based on the requirements of the trip. Instead of only one kind of aircraft being available, as in the case with most governmental aircraft, the Pope has whichever aircraft it charters at its disposal. When using the ITA Airways or Alitalia fleet, that can include aircraft as small as an Airbus A320, up to the likes of the Boeing 777 or Airbus A350. This will all vary on the itinerary of the trip and what that entails. For example, if no oceans need to be crossed or minimal cargo is needed, or if it's just a short trip, then an A320 will do. However, for long-range trips or higher capacity trips are on the cards, then a wide-body might suit the papal needs more. The Pope never travels alone. In addition to the flight crew, he will have a number of his own staff, but also usually 60 to 70 journalists that have been selected to cover the trip for the media. The Pope and his entourage will generally sit at the front of the cabin in business class, which is naturally curtained off to the rest of the cabin, and the media will sit in economy. While there may be a separation in class, it is common for the Pope to come to the back of the cabin and say a short speech to welcome and thank the journalists, as well as to hold a small press briefing. Flying the Pope is far from a regular passenger flight. While the cabin seating configuration is usually left as is, the onboard service is very different to a regular charter flight, and this goes down to the finer details. For example, the headrests are adorned with the papal coat of